talking about the DaCosta family. Fun, murder, thriller, absurd, chaotic, and how do I call it?
Hilarious to start with.
Hilarious, absolutely. And whatnot. So, any book that you want to, pick up and you're not in the right state of mind, if you've read something very, very heavy, which is put you, all your spirits down, you gotta pick this book, and it's a roller coaster. You go through different emotions, and what a brilliant narrative, and also the writing style is so awesome. Rochelle,
Thank you.
I guess we all thoroughly enjoyed the book, and when we were talking about it, we were like, oh, I love this part,
I'm so glad because this book either works or doesn't work. Okay, it just depends on the reader's state of mind, because it's like going to a stand-up comedy show, or going to a drama film. You take the wrong turn, you're going to be disappointed.
Came for the character or the chaos.
So these are all my family members in a very slanted, twisted way. So they were always inside me, and I promise you that there's at least one family story inside every writer, if not more. I'm sure there are 100 stories, but there's definitely one story. And so this story was begging, was knocking on my doors to be told or to come out for the longest time. But it was not willing to come out in a multi-generational literary fiction. So it didn't want to come as a saga or a soggy, saggy saga. Because I realized that all the joy that I had in my life came from my Goan Catholic family that lived in Kalyan, and they were all crazy in a nice way. They didn't know that. Today we call them Dilulus, but they were the Dilulus of the past. Okay, so they were all thoda sa nutty, thoda sa crazy, but they never knew that. Only I knew it, and I'm like, iska kya karenge hum? Because what do you do? What do you do when you're the sane person in the room and you're like, did that person just say this? Did that person just do this? And you're like, where do I gossip about this? Now, I didn't know I was going to be a fiction writer in the future. I was just thinking, ki kisko bolu ye? I need to tell someone. So these were characters. I was born and brought up in a landlord's house, and we had tenants, and everyone was nutty. Everyone was crazy in their way. I've never seen such a crazy, microcosm. But after that everywhere I only see crazy people. I cannot see anyone straight. So this story too said, I'm not coming out straight. You want it to be some saggy, soggy saga. I'm not coming out that way. I'm coming out in my slantward way. You want to take it. Then I'm like, chalo. You cannot say anything to a story, right? I mean, as a writer, the idea, the inspiration dictates the DNA of how it wants to be told. In fact, that's why I feel that beyond story structure of hero's journey, save the cat, the story is a structure in itself, just like the poem is a rhythm in itself. Okay, it comes with its own structure, and it is beyond than every other structure, John Yoke structures and 3-act, 5-act. So this story had its style and treatment, and it said, this is the way I'm going to come out. Whacked out.
So I know that the chaos played a very important part in this story, with the characters.
So what I did is I extrapolated these characters to a further slantness, exaggeration, hilarity, made them absurd. And then I had total fun with it. This was the first book and the only book, Ekta, I must tell you this, Anurag and Kalpak. This is the only book that I was chuckling every other paragraph. Even later in the 10th edits, the proofreader sends you comments, and then you're sitting and those words are crawling like ants because you're so tired now. Yeah. There you don't have any fun left. Okay, it's Neeras. You're just getting done. There also I'm chuckling. So I'm like, okay, this book is working for me at least. One person it's working for, and that's the most important person. As a creator, it has to work for you. Then we'll see what happens with the rest of the people. I'm glad ki y'all like it and many like it, but there are 1 or 2 people who are like very angry.
You always find those readers.
So, for example, you have talked about Goan is almost a character in itself, right, in the whole book.
Yes.
Now you mentioned you have taken the character based on your past experience, and the tenants were in the home or there in the society or building.
Yes.
Now you have gone through 10 edits. Do you think there were different versions of it, and we are just reading one version of the whole plot?
No. See the No, see the maximum. No, I understand. I understand a greedy reader. Okay, when I see one, but I'm telling you, the maximum fun is packed in this last version. Okay, in fact, मैंने तो Andrew से ऐसे काम करवाए हैं in that one additional chapter where they're all planning how to murder Pedro. That was not there in the initial drafts. Okay, and then I was like, there's some little, you know it instinctively as a storyteller that there is some gap here. And how do you gangplank it? One day I had this brainwave, where they are not saying that you kill the wrestler. They are saying you hug him so tight that his ribs should crack. And he's such a huge oily wrestler. And Andrew is so thin and going blind. So how do you think it could happen? Like, but then that's what half of the world is, right? It's absurd in how it proposes things to you. So everything is packed here. Anurag, you've not lost anything.
Good to hear that. I was just thinking when you just said like it has gone to 10 edits, and I said, okay, I think I have lost.
No edits. No edits in the way of like fine tuning the nitty gritties. My stories usually don't go through drastic structural edits. It's like cleaning up every line.
Yeah. So Rochelle, you mentioned about being Teda. So if we just like zoom into Rita,
Yeah.
Rita is both manipulated as well as a manipulator. So like, today as we are in this whole patriarchal systems and, what does it reveal? Like, first of all, did you feel conflicted while writing it, number one? And what do you think reveal about, this talks about women in today's society?
So I think I try to separate it from my grandmother and my family members, because once you change the names, they are new people. But हमको बनाया ready-made characters मिल गए. So this time I cheated solid, yaar. I mean, otherwise I have to work my characterization and all that, okay? Research or go as a detective and observe characters. This is the first time I had ready-made characters. I only had to change their name, thoda ye, wo and all. So I had a lot of fun. It was easiest to write. But even though I separated it from my grandmother, the story remains the same, that any old woman, if she's caught between two, a vicious cycle of greed, of plotting, of the men and their, what they want, it was conflicting to write for the character. Ki how evil or how crazy is Rita for revenge, for greed, and who will break that cycle? Because it's finally Maggie who breaks that cycle. In the end, Maggie is the voice of reason. She's the voice of conscience. And that's why she was sleeping. Because if the voice of reason awakens, the story is over. It has arrived. It has never started. Maggie wakes up in the end. So the literary device was, how do you put her to sleep? But I didn't have to think much. The story also thinks. The story is a very thinking entity. It will always whisper to you, and then you have reasons why she sleeps. It's not random. It's a plotted thing of reasoning and hidden secrets and all. It was conflicted to write, and I feel I don't know when patriarchy is really going to end, because it's so internalized. It's cellular almost. It's granular. Yeah. So it's in us even when we don't know that. And we all have so much of internalized patriarchy in us, or prejudice, and we identify it one by one. We recognize it. So I think these characters, will never go away in the sense of even through maybe many years of storytelling.
Also, Rochelle, I had one observation while I was reading the book, and all the time I was feeling hungry.
Really? Why?
I mean, the wonderful dishes and the food and everything that you talked about in the book, I was like, I want
I'm so glad.
coffee, I want those pancakes,
Yes.
I want this, I want that konkani sabzi, I want that fish fry, and I was like,
The railway mutton curry, which is so Anglo-Indian, I realize, because they all were railway officers, so they had railway mutton curry.
no, but I think this also makes a lot of impact when you write about a place, and like Anurag said, Goa in itself is a character in the book, and plays such an important role. I think, though it is not exactly based in Goa, but those vibes that are coming in,
Yes.
you very, very all the time kind of feel that, it's
Yes.
somewhere you are in Goa. Goa, you have that feeling. And when you talk about Kalyan and then moving houses and what happens, so it almost shapes up like a character. So whether no matter what a place is, but those vibes that you get. So I was also kind of thinking that how important it is for a writer to give the soul to a place or the feeling that comes to it by the cuisine, the environment, the culture that it has, the kind of people, the kind of religion, the traditions that it has, which I felt so internalized in this book, which also gives a lot of power to the entire structure and the entire narrative.
So first and foremost, I'll cover food, okay, because I'm a foodie. So when I recognize another foodie, I'm like, yay, they got it. So one thing is that when I'm writing, I usually get hungry. So I'm like, I can't cook, but what if the character cooks? Because then I feel like, okay, maine hi kha liya, because I don't want to leave that paragraph. So that has happened multiple times. I didn't expect to be caught or masala red-handed, okay? Food was festivity and food was association. So here food is also family. Food is also family politics. But food is basically culture. So here I'm showing you through a simple kitchen politics of what she can make, she can't make, and even how her husband dominates the grocery list. Only which food will be made, which will be not made. That again is patriarchy of ghar pe kya khana banayega. This who decides should be everyone's favorites. So we start with that, but other than that, as you mentioned, Ekta, the everything about it, because this was about Goan Catholics and it was about Anglo-Indians. So it was very easy to channel all their cultural motifs, their traits. And because I have hung out with them, I needed no research. It was just a matter of going back down memory lane, being in that place. I have written Bombay Hangovers earlier, and it's come out in Hindi now. I think for me, in the five senses matter a lot. And as the Japanese prose poetry forms speak of the sixth sense, that is memory. So I feel you channel all these senses and create a sensoric or an atmospheric experience as a backdrop of writing. So the plot is always foreground. The characters are always foreground, but it's nice to have that rich quality of sensoria wherever it can come. Of course, genre dependent. But here it's about the culture, because we're talking about two families who are at loggerheads. And why are they? Because to the world, they're the same. There's no difference between an Anglo-Indian and a Goan per se. So why is it so different for Rita? And so I showed a culture clash through food, through some little ways of living. But it's nice that I could locate the characters in this tapestry.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of power dynamics that's happening with food as the central theme, which is like which kind of sets the tone of the book also at the very beginning when you start reading it, that how things are being manipulated and a lot of that stuff. So I think that's a great way of a differentiator and a leveler at that.
Yeah, I think I feel only sad. I won't reveal the spoiler, but I feel only sad for what happened to Pedro's sharks. Again, food.
I think he's saying, please don't talk about food. I just and now listening to this conversation make me want to order more. If this conversation is making you, why don't you dive into the book and I can bet on it that you cannot stop eating.
This is the best feedback I've got. Seriously, the next book I write will be only food centric. A food crime.
And also when you talked about the experience, right? So when we started reading the book, it was more towards the hilarious side, right? And suddenly it stops being hilarious and has gone towards the mystery side, right? Yeah. That was one of the feelings which came up. Was it planned intentionally, or like when you were writing it and suddenly you took to shift the plot?
Yeah. Thank you. No, actually speaking, this is always supposed to be like this. Absurd, but there is revenge at the underneath all the layers of bagwas, food, whatever. There is this layer of revenge, which is the main plot, Rita's revenge. It will be, how do you say, null and void. It will not come to pass, maybe, who knows, read the book to find out. At the base of it, it's revenge. So how does revenge unfurl itself? Through perhaps, teetering and bordering on crime or something illegal. Revenge cannot be legal. It's almost vigilante.
Okay, thank you. Rochelle, you mentioned about revenge. So what I feel that, represents a lot of things in your novel that way. Like there is release, revenge, or revelation. So what do you think it truly does? Because you have buried secrets, you have graveyards, you have, inheritances. So what do you think that really represents when it comes to your novel?
A lot of the writer comes into the work as well, into our characters. So I think I have a morbid fascination for death. And Jason represents that because he's always digging his own grave and others' graves. And he's doing it. He's like a hands-on grave digger. Okay, and that comes from and he's like, I don't want freelancer help, main karunga, I will dig. And he says at one point to Inspector Gaitonde, do you want me to dig new graves? I can dig 15 in a day. See, he's talking of productivity. Like I talk of productivity of my books and poems. Same thing Jason is talking of, only in graves. So Jason is the closest to me actually. But I think there's underneath all that, I have a fascination for death in not a suicidal way. I have a fascination for death in a way that I know that when life ends, in a very philosophical way, which is that I think sometime or the other, the last chapter will happen. Okay, it'll close. It'll be some style of death, not a style you can choose always, unless euthanasia becomes legal. So it's a style of death you can't choose on any toggle and say, "Mere ko na aisa jana hai." Closes everything. It closes all chapters. And then I completely believe in that 21 grams of soul. That you take only the wisdom and karma and go. So I think there's this lot of fascination with when will that last chapter happen? Will I be happy when I look back at the first chapters of my life and say, no regrets, na? So that edit locked life.
Yeah.
I think Jason only happens to represent a little bit of that fascination with the graveyards and all. I think somewhere it's also trying to mock the story because everyone is running after materialistic wealth.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's also given his land, but he's made a graveyard. So he's had fun. So it's like life and then suddenly death. And everyone else wants money, gold for current living. So it's a dichotomy, life versus death.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I had something else to ask you, but since you brought in Jason, I have.
Yes,
I want to ask
please
you
do.
something about
Please do.
Jason. So Jason, the grave digger turned Dawn, turned the major person, takes up, one of the major roles in the book. Kind of, also has a very ancient vibe to, him, like, in the Shakespearean, somewhere like a Shakespeare in the West and the world,
Wow, I'm happy.
The grave digger there. And then, the entire he's on an axis wherein the entire family is, rising and falling. And you don't realize that while you're, initially reading the book. But once you get into the book inside, you mull over another 80 to 90 odd pages, and then you realize that, you've been, all the time your entire attention was some other character. But okay, here is he. So I'm not going to give any spoilers. It was very hard to speak without the spoilers, but I was very fascinated by the way you wrote his character.
Yeah, and I'm really happy because see, Jason was not a character that wanted to speak to me. He might be an amalgam of many people, maybe not really from my family, or maybe I don't know, but he was not willing to speak. So I wanted to give him more plot. But baat to kare. He's happy with death. He's like, I'm at the last full stop. I'm content. He was what he was.
Absolutely brilliant. I mean, the character sketch also, makes it so, every character is so different from each other that you don't have any similarities between the two, and it does not feel like a family. It does feel like a family because we all are, coming from those kind of dysfunctional families wherein you have different people doing a lot of dysfunctional things.
Yes.
But then, there are no similarities. Nobody's trusting each other. And all of that makes the plot very, very intriguing and interesting.
Yes.
Right from page one.
Yes. Don't know whether I'll ever be able to write such a whacked out, absurd story again. You need to really be without dope on dope. It's a different milieu, And I must say this also, that writing this story was a good break and a séjourné from all the serious poetry I wrote. Because I feel as a writer also, we should try the Navarasas, like the Thali system, Like when you write a horror, then go write a comedy. If you've laughed enough, then go a drama. Go find some meaning in life. some more meaning, some more nuance, or write a tender love story. So this was my break from all the serious poetry I wrote, because for too long, even Paper Asylum, there was a reader who said there's so much of heartbreak in it. Coins and Rivers had a lot in it. But in Coins and Rivers, I came across the Hasya Rasa, which we spoke about last. Where I wrote Bedding Day, and from there I think I was like, you know what, I want to laugh. Yaar, laughing mein kitna maza hai. And also because, as you all of you rightly asked me, to locate the genre or the rasa of the book, because we are sometimes living in such harsh times, whether it's world calamities or missiles flying in the sky or sky calamities or our own personal problems of all kinds. So can we laugh? It's so difficult to find that space to chuckle, because you feel guilty. You feel, okay, how can I laugh? Look at that. Look at him. Look at her. Look what happened today. Look what happened yesterday. You can't laugh. So we are losing that permission which we can give ourselves to be happy or to chuckle and to be silly. Hum log, we hide and be silly now. The world is burning. I know it's a wrong time, but I want to laugh.
Thank you for letting us also laugh.
Thank you.
I was just about to say that.
And in fact, before you joined in, I was just, three of us were interacting, and I was just telling them that, this book came at such a right time, because, the kind of books that I don't know, I keep myself being drawn to are always, very sad,
Yes.
require a lot of, you just breaks your heart, or
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Ending, and so many things are happening.
Yes.
And I was constantly asking people that why there is so much of dearth of people who write comedy or who write a good romance, and why are these two genres so underrated?
Yes.
And why you never find so you always go back to the books which you always know, like you will go to Jeeves, you will go to P.G. Woodhouse, you'll go to all of those things.
Yes.
But
Yes.
in the recent times, you'll not find people writing comedy. Either comedy is extremely satirical, but it's not like pure joy and pure. Though the DaCosta family has a very strong underlying theme of satire, which I will talk about it. But I thought that it was such a perfect book, because you have to read such books, to enjoy the different forms of literature. And I thought it was an excellent time when it came to me. And I was like, oh my God, I was laughing out loud.
And thank you.
I just needed it.
Thank you so much for saying that, because you don't know what you've done to me as a writer, because I was doubting, is this the time to bring out this asinine, absurd book when the world is burning? But then I asked myself, when is the world not burning? It will be burning, so you better be Nero, play the flute, because what else can you do? So at least 2-3 people will laugh with you. Wahi sahi. It's almost like Satranj ke khiladi choices. You just say, let's play Satranj and let तख्त बदले तो बदले, हम शतरंज खेलते हैं, थोड़ा तो मजा लेते हैं. I'm not saying, see, all my writing will be fun and absurd, because I'm not only a comedy writer. I even write rom-com. I even write my next book, which is The Fabric Goddesses, is actually a very serious story, not a Rona Dhona story. I can't do Rona Dhona because I am a clown inside, a foodie and a clown. But definitely it's a story, it's a serious story, or a more sober story of 3 women around the garment and fashion industry, their struggles and how they triumph. I think we should write all rasas, because the book after that I'm planning is a thriller. So I want to write every kind, but I'm so glad to tell you that not just all of you, but so many had such good, reception. Never mind that things were really bad all around us, but they did take some time to laugh and to cheer up. And somewhere I feel that's what a storyteller should be able to do. Yeah.
I think that is such a, you need these kind of stories at those grim times.
Yes.
Because everywhere it's you're listening, you're talking about death, you're constantly being under that radar of, those bombardment of extra information, whether it is social media or your televisions or your newspapers or your friends or anybody. So all of these stories are so these point of time, because I always thought that when I read the DaCosta family, to be very honest, I had this feeling that this is the power of literature. That before this I was just reading Heartland, And I was like, oh my God, what did I just read? And before that, I was reading another tragic story. And why am I reading this? And then I went ahead and read DaCosta Family, and I was like, I just needed this book, and I just needed it so much.
Yeah.
And that also, falls in that those books stay with you, when they come to you.
Yes.
Like we always say as readers, books come to you.
Yes.
But I think this is such a brilliant piece of work, because at a lot of instances, I also thought it was so much like comedy of errors and inspired by, those characters. And that it also gave me that vibe. It had grief, it had greed, it had satire. It also had a lot of absurdity. So I was also thinking that you were walking on a very, very tight rope, Rochelle.
Yes, I was. And I was wondering I should slip the right way. Like Rita slips in the beginning. When they see her spider vein thighs and all that. But it should not slip the wrong way. So that's a risk you have to take as a storyteller, and that risk will always be there, Ekta. Because some themes are very, very, I'm not talking of this book alone, but because there are some other stories I'm writing, and I have to keep questioning myself, is this okay? Can I land this just right as my intention? Or will it go wrong?
Yeah.
Like, that poem Rape Fantasies. Yes.
Oh my God.
So it's the same thing. I have to keep questioning myself, because that creative freedom, at the same time, how will it be received? It should not get very wrongly received. I understand a margin of some interpretation, but it should not be black and white. So yes, definitely. And also, this was a time that the Gaza genocide was happening on one end, and I'm trying to read my chuckling edited work. I am open to the world and what's happening in real time. A kind of resilience or restraint that is building in you as people. I don't think as writers alone, as people, to learn to live a happy life even if things are bad. To learn to find that joy even if it's not great. How can you keep to it? So that's the same thing was going on, Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there is also, like Ikta highlighted, like Jason, he became a Don, right? And then again, you have brought a name, Don Theodore, right? The name sounded very interesting, totally different. It was legal, but totally different. So were you playing with the mafia tropes, or like it evolved, the whole thing Don evolved with how you started writing around it?
Yeah, so I think I wanted to, like just have fun with those remembered family members. They were not as bad, let me tell you. But but I wanted to think, they are like these characters are like Gali ke Gunde, but they believe they are the Portuguese mafia. Okay, so that is the tashan they have, and they don't know that. But I'm mentioning it quietly. Ki, see, these 4 bodyguards, they are standing with their guns, but they are empty. But they're standing very sternly. So you have to get that key. It's like everything is a double take. Okay, but they don't know it, and because of that, when you enter the story, you also want to believe that it's Don and Capo, but you're like, kahan ka Don? What have they done? Like, I mean, okay, this is some small spurious alcohol businesses, some small chintu stuff going on. So ye to gali ke gunde hue na. Like, but you have to figure that out. I'm so glad you figured it out, Anurag. When you say the trope, I'm so glad you figured it. I was worried about those 2 very serious readers who are like, kahan ke Don hai ye? Kahan ke hai? Don't you know your history?
We're talking about this extremely
Yes.
bad book.
Yes.
The DaCosta Family. You gotta really, really pick this up and read it. There are so many characters, you will be lost. But you will find yourself, somewhere after, 10 pages, and then you will be like kind of lost in the book. It is so engrossing. And I love that family tree also. I was just trying to locate it while Anurag was asking you that question that you just created, and I was
just don't ask me the name of the mouse. Okay, that's the only character I don't know the name of in under the family tree. But everybody else is there.
It's a Don, right? We don't know the name, but it's a Don.
Yes. Oh, Anurag, I think a sequel is going to come from your end. No, but I'm so touched, so happy, so grateful that all 3 of you liked the book. And really, it only substantiates that sometimes go with your gut feel as a storyteller. Tell that tale.
I would say, Rochelle, that I'm sure a lot of people are going to ask you this question, like, at least I felt this when I was reading that, there was a visual rhythm to the entire prose.
Yeah.
Like it was fast paced, it was chaotic, but it was also cinematic. So did you feel, and like will this unfold into a movie maybe someday? I mean, if any producer, director is watching this, then probably can.
See, it definitely is this story had a dual citizenship of being a book and screenplay. In fact, Ekta has a card up her sleeve. Ekta, this is the time. She was the one who created book to box office. She was one of the main people. And this story ka screenplay, because I'm also a screenplay writer. Okay, I teach Haiko Haibun. It's very visual. And the screenplay of this was a top 30 book to box office Goa Film Bazaar in 2023.
Oh.
I came to know much later that Ekta is behind the book to box office. How glad did I feel?
And I was so amazed to see my name in the acknowledgements. And
Absolutely.
I was like, oh my God. Always compliment shy, so I kept it under the garb. I didn't tell anyone.
Yes.
I think these guys did not read it, so okay, we know.
I saw the name.
You saw. I'm so grateful to that moment because there were all these jury members. And they were saying, नहीं इसका web series ठीक है, नहीं इसका film, नहीं web series में momentum छूट जाएगा, नहीं film. All that was going on, nothing really happened then and there, or even now. It's still somewhere in active submissions, like it happens in the film industry. I have to acknowledge that moment.
Yes. And so, if that's the case, then Rochelle, you should also tell us who would be your dream casting for the Nico stars.
See, I would have said so many names. From the current actors list, like the current people. But I think it's, really, it's a very bland answer that I can't decide that. Because, first of all, it's the budget, the producer, directors, and then...
Yeah.
But, we are looking at many actors. Many want to play this, actually. What's the fun part is, I might have a film director attached and actors attached. It's just the producers we need to get. थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम है प्रोड्यूसर्स थोड़ा ही है पैसे थोड़े से चंद करोड़ चाहिए बस
But I guess it's gonna be a massive mad movie if it comes out. We'll have a conversation and we'll say the book was definitely better.
Yes, that would really make me happy. But one more thing, again, philosophically, I've realized that stories that we write have no sequence of when they come out, so or when they get done as films, as books. So I have somewhere na like Jason, मैंने थोड़ा छोड़ छाड़ दिया ये सब सोचना because it weighs on you, as कि कब होगा, अब होगा, तब होगा. So I'm like, नहीं, I want some mukti from these things because I've noticed something in my short stories. When I wrote those sequences and when one story became a short film, you would never be able to predict. It happens. These things all come to you and happen. Magic always comes to you before you create it.
Rochelle, I want to ask you a very, very cliched question, which but I know that's an important question. So that my cliche becomes important.
Not at all. See, I've twisted all the cliches here.
There are a lot of people who are aspiring, writers who want to write their novels or, write poetry and a lot of other stuff. Is there a writing schedule that you have? Or, how do you plan your novels? Or how do you plan your poetry, or your books? So if you can also talk about that, I think that would be a lot of interest for many people.
Yes. So one thing is there, which I don't want to boast, but I definitely have a lot of discipline because that is very important. Because what you have as a writer poet is resources, limited. We all have limited of time, of mind, right? And some people are on hefty day jobs. They get only a Saturday, Sunday or a morning free or, a little bit of the night free. So you have to first know your resources. And by the way, because I've done my project management, I'm an MBA. So my first project management is on myself only. कि मेरे कितने resources है, कितने घंटे हैं. Okay, even 5 minutes, I can write a haiku if I save it. Okay, so I'm a complete time stingy person. Okay, because that's a resource. We are not immortals. Okay, and we will age. We will have problems. So when you're fit and fine, health is a resource. Okay, ideas, and when you get them, biorhythm is a resource. So everyone should know, when do you get the maximum ideas? It's like Pareto's principle. How do you execute? How fast do you execute? So I look at a few things. This is only my techniques. Of course, everyone has their own toolbox and technique. I look at inspiration and ideas from anywhere and everywhere. I'm besharam. Okay, all the weird news comes to my inbox. I have a Google alert called World's Weird News. It's an Asian weird news. So I get kutte billi ki khabar. You will not believe what I get. Okay, that's my main thing. Even if I'm writing tragedy, I need to know what is a weird thing happening in the world. But I'm saying ideas and inspiration from everywhere, characters, places, but incubation time. There's an incubation time that always happens, which you don't have to be at your desk, because your mind is so magnificent that you can be thinking anywhere. You can be alchemizing, doing mundane work. That is a very important time. How you incubate the inspiration, how long you take, when do you think, okay, now it's enough, now I want to maybe outline it if it is prose, or it's long work like screenplays and novels. And if it is short, like you don't have time, like poetry doesn't give you any time to incubate. It's a flash, it just comes and you write it. Okay, poetry has disturbed me even at 3 a.m. in the morning. I had to wake up with that line and write it. I was like, why couldn't you come later? Or why didn't I have a dream recorder? So poetry doesn't do that. Short stories I don't outline. I just go with the flow, because it's in one sitting or in 1 week you can finish a short story. So you don't need to outline. You more or less know the end of the tunnel. But screenplays and novels, I do outline. I feel good, but not very deep outlining. Just sketchy, just to feel like a blueprint kind of a thing, so that you can also have fun with the wildness. Incubation and then execution. I think execution is a very important thing. How do you execute it? Do you write 2,000 words a day? I'm not talking of poetry, because that happens in one flash, one draft, and then editing the second draft. That's it for me. But for longer works, what is the quota? When I'm writing screenplays, I do 10 pages of screenwriting a day.
Wow.
Yeah. If I'm writing a novel, I'll try to do a chapter of 2,000 words a day. This is my quota. I don't get up to have lunch. That's why they're cooking food, no? Always those characters. Because I won't get up for lunch till I finish that quota. So I'm very disciplined, but I had to beat the discipline into me, so that I respect the resources I have of time and mind. So it was a longish process. So there's a time when I feel low, I feel a bit depressed. Even on those days in autopilot, I will be doing something. Not creating maybe, but I'll be editing or sending out something. I think it's very much a coping mechanism. All through the pandemic, I worked. Not one day I took leave in the pandemic. If I'm sad, I write. If I'm happy, I write. My response to stimuli of good and bad is write. I'm pretty addicted, and I would have been in the asylum had writing been killing. Yeah, I would have been jailed right now, because it's criminal.
But I think that is such a brilliant way of mastering your craft, and also kind of being in love with what you do. And though you're talking about it in a very fun way, but I know the deep down thought behind it is so exciting and enticing, and it is very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult to get in that flow, because your flow can break. It's like a habit. You have to beat it inside you, and then you will never ask, आपको motivation कहाँ से मिलता है? Because you're like, what's motivation? भाई, discipline है अंदर. Motivation नहीं है कभी कभी. It's autopilot. And I also feel on a macro level, I'll tell you this only as a storyteller, I feel that the systems are always broken, and they don't support or nourish talent. Okay, no one is really coming in the gully, like gully cricket, to see how good you are. And let's discover you, and let's nurture you, and take you to the world and explore, like have your talent explored on the platforms. Though I got wonderful opportunities like international residencies, no one really, the systems are broken. So no one is really looking out for you. If you don't know what your strengths are, you're gone, because you're the only life manager of your strengths. So you must know your blessings, you must know your strengths, you must know your gifts, you must know your weaknesses, you must know where you are not going to fare that well, where you will do well, because you are the only coach you have. Yeah, we have to play so many roles that we are playing our life coach role.
This is the author talking who writes in damn good poetry and makes you cry and makes you shudder and makes you think about the world is so bad, and at the same time comes up with a book like The Costa Family where you are like rolling on the floor laughing. And then she also tells you that how she's so motivated and so consistent. I think Rochelle, high on energy. And I guess we got some comments also. You're superb energy, Rochelle.
Wow, thank you.
It is so exciting to listen to you, the way you are so engrossed in this discussion and the excitement downs on your face. It's lovely to meet such lively people.
All of you.
Definitely. And I think those who have not read the book, why don't you pick up a copy of the Costa Family? If you're under reading slump, if you're reading something really, really that's getting on your heads and your nerves, if you've been crying bucket loads, reading a lot of tearful stories, or you've kind of reading suspense, thrillers, spooky stories, no matter whatever you're reading, this is the time. Pick up the Costa Family. This is not a promotional thing.
Thank you.
Talking about it like that, but I think it's damn good. It's so much fun, and if you are a very nuanced reader, you will also find that the outer layer is so much fun, but there are so many underlying themes to the book. There is a lot of power dynamics. There's a lot of beautifully done absurdity in the book. There is so much of the structural system, how the caste is kind of talked about. There are very underlying themes which are very, very important and can be in itself, a whole subject, and the entire book can be very controversial if you pick up one of those threads and start talking about it. But at the face of it, it will make you laugh, and I had tears in my eyes laughing. So Rochelle, thank you for writing this book.
I'm so grateful and glad that you enjoyed it, Ekta, because I feel somewhere, it's come full circle. This is what a writer feels, right? This is what I feel. I feel so thankful. Thank you very much.
So one of the, as Ekta you mentioned, like there are lots of underlying themes and messages, right? One of the messages I just want to highlight, which I felt, was like Inspector
Gaitonde.
Right?
Yes.
He was really allergic to family drama, right?
Yes.
Now, I felt like it was a metaphor for bureaucrats to citizens. Right?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
was it intentional or was it a message which you wanted to pass? Because I felt that particular thing while reading the book.
No, that's interesting how you interpreted it, Anurag, because no, I didn't think of that. I just thought of, characterizing, because nowadays, like many don't want to get married. So I don't think I have that covered in any story. So I wanted to characterize a man who's so happily unmarried.
Yeah.
And he's happily unmarried, is happily doing his crime, patrol of whatever he's doing. And then now this is the contrast. He gets family chaos, and he's so balanced that the whole world seems imbalanced. So that contrast, I wanted to just explore, because there's a lot of things that I do as a writer is for the sheer greed of exploring a new human nuance.
Yeah.
And then have fun with it. This is also, because at the base of it, storytelling, yes, it is it's first for you, right, as a storyteller. You want to explore and learn something new. Somebody rightly said to me this, that he's a film director, a friend. He said that when I create a film, I don't think about what will happen at the box office or here and there. I grow from it. I become another person through its journey. And I thought that's the same thing that should happen for a book as well. You grow through it. And that is the biggest, takeaway or learning. No, everything else is like bonus. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the book is like phenomenal, and I had something to ask, but I was so engrossed in your conversation, I forgot my question. But yeah, Rochelle, we had so much fun talking to you. But on that note, Rochelle, any thoughts or any message for Kitaab readers? And of course, please talk about your book as well.
No, the book. I think we've spoken enough of the book. I would like to thank all of you, because Read a Kitaab is so important, and I really love the festival that happened at National College. And I want to wish Read a Kitaab for all the best with all your online, offline events. You all are such a lovely bunch, full of energy that this is what happens in art when you transcend time. Imagine on an Insta quadrant you can transcend time by forgetting what you were doing actually here. That's so lots of power to you, and to the readers, all the best. Read everything. I feel read all kinds of stories, all rasas, all genres. Have fun. We have such a short life.